Michael lived alone in an old apartment in Chicago. The building was eerie and worn down, but it was cheap, so he didn't think twice before moving in. Everything seemed normal, until about a week ago. Every night, he began hearing the unsettling sounds of a child laughing and crying. At first, he assumed it was coming from a neighboring apartment. But soon he realized the sounds were coming from his own kitchen. One night, when the noises returned, Michael decided to capture whatever was happening. He grabbed his phone, turned on the camera, and slowly made his way toward the kitchen. The crying grew louder. His heart pounded as he reached the doorway and pointed the camera toward the sink. And that's when he saw it. A faint figure of a child appeared right in the sink. From a distance, it was clearly visible, small, fragile, motionless. But as Michael inched closer, the child vanished. His breath caught in his throat. He stepped forward, peering into the sink, searching for an explanation. There was nothing, except for a small hole barely big enough for his hand to fit through. Trembling, he reached inside, but all he felt was cold emptiness. That was it, he couldn't stay here anymore. The very next day, Michael packed his things and left the apartment for good. But before leaving, he shared his terrifying experience with his neighbors. What they told him sent chills down his spine. Years ago, a family had lived in that same apartment. They had a child, but one day he vanished without a trace. What disturbed the neighbors most was that the parents never seemed to grieve. Whenever someone asked about their missing son, they simply said, "He's in his room." The family eventually moved out, but on the day they left, the child was nowhere to be seen. Some neighbors claimed they had also heard a child crying from that apartment but could never investigate because the door was always locked. But now, after watching Michael's footage, they wondered, was that the same missing child? And if so, why were his cries still coming from the kitchen sink? Mark, a man living in Los Angeles, had been experiencing something truly disturbing for the past few months. Every night, as he fell asleep, his body would freeze completely. He was fully conscious but unable to move, a classic case of sleep paralysis. At first, he thought it was just stress or exhaustion causing it, but soon things took a terrifying turn. He began to sense a presence in his room. Someone, or something, stood near his bed. He could feel its eyes on him, its breath in the darkness. But every time he managed to break free and wake up, his room was completely empty. Determined to find answers, Mark set up a night vision camera in his bedroom. That night, he fell asleep, hoping to finally solve the mystery. But what he saw the next morning shattered his reality. A dark, shadowy figure sat on his bed. Its face was blurry, but its eyes were clearly visible, staring directly at Mark. As the video played, Mark watched in horror as the figure slowly leaned over him. His body in the footage began to tremble, as if he were screaming in terror, but no sound escaped his lips. Then came the most horrifying moment. Just as the figure got inches away from Mark's face, the camera glitched. For a brief second, the screen turned black, but not completely. For a split second, Mark's face vanished, replaced by the shadowy figure's face. Then, as the static cleared, the figure was gone. Mark lay lifeless on the bed, his eyes wide open, his breath shallow. From that night on, Mark never slept alone again. But the horror didn't stop there. He claimed that for months, the same shadowy figure had been appearing in his dreams, calling him to follow it to a strange, unknown place. But every time Mark refused. Maybe that's why he was still alive. That's when he realized, this wasn't just sleep paralysis. This was something else. Some things science can't explain. Some things aren't meant to be seen. And sometimes, what we can't see is still watching us. A chilling video surfaced on Instagram, posted by a user named @dark44. He and his wife had been living alone in their house for months, but recently, he began noticing strange occurrences. Objects moved on their own, eerie noises echoed through the halls, and an unshakable feeling of being watched followed him everywhere. However, his wife never experienced anything unusual. She dismissed his fears, calling them paranoia. But at dark 44 was convinced something, or someone, was sharing their home. Determined to prove he wasn't imagining things, he decided to record the strange incidents. And one night he finally captured something horrifying. As he turned on his camera and walked into the TV room, something immediately caught his attention. Through the window, a small hand was clearly visible, knocking against the glass. But the most chilling part? A faint giggle accompanied the knocking. The camera zoomed in. The hand was real, solid, unmistakable. It pressed against the window, pale fingers tapping rhythmically. But the moment at dark 44 moved his camera inside the room, the hand and the child vanished instantly. Not a single trace remained. The speed at which it disappeared was unnatural, far beyond what any normal child or person could do. The next post. Terrified yet determined to uncover the truth, at dark 44 continued his investigation. Days later he posted another update. This time the situation had escalated. He saw the child again. But this time his wife saw it too. The shadowy figure appeared inside their bathroom, staring at them. That was the breaking point. Without wasting any time, the couple packed their bags and left the house for good. What happened next? After moving out, they never encountered anything paranormal again. But one question still haunted them. Who was the child? And why was it there? Imagine renting a house only to discover that you're not alone. Some ghosts don't want to be seen. But others? They want you to know they're watching. A chilling video surfaced online, but its source remains unknown. The user who uploaded it made a horrifying claim. His young daughter had been acting strangely for the past few months. Her behavior had become disturbing, unnatural, something she had never done before. At first, he thought it was just a phase. But as time passed, he began to fear something far worse. Was his daughter possessed? He wasn't sure. But after witnessing unexplainable events, his worst fears were confirmed. Desperate for help, he reached out to multiple priests. But the moment they saw the footage of his daughter, every single one of them refused to come near her. But what was in that footage? Let's take a look. In the clip, the girl can be seen screaming uncontrollably, her body convulsing in unnatural ways. Her voice, distorted, deep, inhuman. The user captioned the video. No priest is willing to help after watching this. Is there no hope left? After months of searching, one priest finally agreed to perform an exorcism. His identity was kept hidden, but he was determined to help. However, when he arrived and attempted the ritual, he stepped back in shock. His words sent shivers down the father's spine. It's too late. She can't be saved. A few weeks later, the girl passed away. The cause? Dehydration and extreme weakness. Was it truly a case of possession? Or was there a scientific explanation behind it? The video might be fake, but the story behind it is truly disturbing. What do you think? Was she really possessed, or was it something else? Let me know in the comments. A YouTuber from Indonesia regularly uploads content on his channel. mostly exploring new locations and vlogging. But one day, while filming with his friends in an abandoned place far from the city, something truly disturbing happened. They were recording as usual, until they wandered into a dark, eerie section of the abandoned area. That's when they heard something strange. Curious, they decided to investigate. What happened next? Their camera recorded everything. As they follow the mysterious sound, their camera catches a glimpse of a woman. But she isn't just standing there. She appears to be preparing for some kind of ritual. The way she moves, the unnatural aura around her, it's clear she doesn't seem like an ordinary person. As soon as they realize this, panic sets in. She turns to look at them. Her face, creepy, unnatural, something isn't right. The group immediately runs. But as they flee, they notice something terrifying. She is watching them. Fear takes over. They shut off the camera to focus on escaping. What happened next? No one knows what happened after they ran. The YouTuber insists that this was not a scripted or fake video. But was it real? Or just an elaborate setup? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another chilling story like this. Also, share this video with your friends. Let's see what they think about these spine-chilling encounters. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and don't ignore the whispers in the dark. *.